Hey everybody, it's your boy Fish, and I got my partner back. Welcome back, Nooch.
Thank you, sir. How you doing, man? How'd you enjoy
Good.
last week without me?
I struggled. I don't like doing podcasts solo, but I wanted you to have a good time in Louisiana. I know you did. We talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Did you get you some of this good beer?
I drank a lot of that good beer while I was home. Unfortunately, none of it survived the trip all the way home back to West Texas with me, so I'm still drinking this Texas shit. But drank a lot of Abita, drank some great South Louis, ate some great Louisiana food. It was just it, it is something about eating gumbo while smelling the bayou. It just hits different, man. I mean, I
Getting
cooked.
bitten by mosquitoes, and
Yeah, I got bit by a mosquito. It was freaking amazing.
yeah, that
It
doesn't
was
happen in Odessa. I know.
no, not at all.
You're
But
more
it,
likely to get bit by a horned toad or something.
yeah, it was just awesome. I loved it. I loved the smell of the bayou. I loved the food. I loved the atmosphere, the people. I really need to try to figure out a way to go home more often.
No, I-10 East. That's how you get there.
I
Or
take 20,
I-20.
I
Yeah.
take
You can do it the long way, I guess. No, that is the short way. I just don't like I-20. Anyway, so you went to the game.
yes.
Brief recap of the game. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do. Hey, look, it's always great being on campus. The weather was phenomenal, beautiful weather. I am actually first time I saw the light show in person. I'm a fan. I don't
Did
I
you
don't hate.
expect to be a fan?
I wasn't sure. I went
I
in
don't
as
think you did.
open-minded as can be. I went in as open-minded as can be, and I'll be honest with you. I think I would have enjoyed it more in a bigger moment, like the Ole Miss from the videos I've seen. I think I
Oh,
would have
yeah.
enjoyed that more so than this.
Or maybe if we would have scored more.
Didn't hate it. Did not hate it. Not a fan of the video board, the new big video board. Not a fan.
They screw
Uh,
everything up.
yeah, because maybe a third of it is used for actual video.
Mhm.
Cute little new ribbons, around the stadium. Those are very nice, crisp, clean, high definition, beautiful. The
First time I
school.
ever saw the lights was the Alabama LSU game in 2019, and I was amazed by them, and I couldn't wait till LSU got them.
I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but like they put up the like out of town scores like across the stadium from me, and I think they picked the smallest font setting that Microsoft Word offers because I couldn't freaking see it. I mean, I could see the Raising Cane's logo this freaking big, and then the score was this big. I'm like, hey, can you maybe zoom in on that a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was good. They had the alumni band there. It was a good, decent crowd. Campus was dead. Campus was it was a joke. I met up with LSU dad, got to meet have a beer with him, hung out with him a little bit before the game.
Man,
So
did
it
you
was
see? I'm glad you brought that up. LSU dad, did you see the pics from North Shore mom?
Mhm.
So I don't know
Yeah.
if they were like, I mean, they're not a thing. Although it is North Shore mom and LSU dad, but they're not. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
she's
not
married.
an
She's over
actual
here
item.
married. He's over here.
Uh
Yeah.
I think it was more just a coincidence. LSU dad has some connections with the company that North Shore mom works for. So the
Okay.
North mom got her tickets through the company, and LSU dad got his suite seats through a contact he has with them.
He
So
knows everybody. He's the most
yeah,
interesting man in
more
the
just
world.
just a coincidence that that's who he got his suite seats through, where same people that she got hers through. So they
I was
did
just
end up.
wondering. So were mom and dad like hanging out? I don't know. That's cool.
Not before the game. I don't know what happened during, and
Okay.
I'm not one to start rumors. No
No,
clue.
no, no. It would be nothing like that anyway.
Yeah.
Good people. But I'm glad you got to hang out with LSU dad. I've hung out with him several times. I've even heard him eat a few times. He can do it. He throws down.
He didn't eat. He was drinking while I was visiting him.
Mhm. I've seen him do
Believe
that
it,
too. Yeah.
believe it or not, I was as well. I know
No,
that's
no,
gonna come as a shock,
it
but
does. So, so Nooch,
yeah,
the game was pretty boring, I would say. It was one of those games where you mentioned this to me that it was kind of like one of those Les Mile era games where you never thought the game was in doubt at all, other than after the very first play from offense
right.
Vanderbilt's had, which
Yeah.
we'll get to. But but you never thought the game was in doubt. And then you look up and like, damn, we won by a touchdown. What? I thought we killed
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, honestly, it was the game was in control from the second possession on. It
Yeah,
really was.
I felt
It
that way. I felt some coaching decisions kept the game closer than, or at least one kept the game closer than it should have been, and that was on the fake punt that they pulled when we're up 2 scores late in the game. You do not set up a return. I'm sorry. We need a
nah,
special teams coach with some sense.
you go punt safe there.
Yes.
Yeah, it was it's exactly what you come to like you said, I brought it up Les Miles era. It was an LSU Vanderbilt game from the Les Miles era.
Yeah.
Different style of offense, of course, but that's it's what it was. You look at time of possession, LSU dominated. Look at yards, LSU dominated. You look at everything, LSU dominated, but I'll be damned if we're not in a one-score game in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Should have been. Didn't feel like it was. At no point was I sitting there nervous, thinking, "Holy shit, we're about to lose this." Like that
Right.
thought never once crossed my mind.
Well,
But
and
the score, and it was close.
you see us taking knees at the end inside the 10-yard line, and so you know the game was in hand, but game could have been, you mentioned this as well, could have been 35-10.
Oh, easy.
Just
Yeah,
a
it
couple of
probably
plays
should
here
have
and
been at
there.
least. Which again harkens back to that Les Miles era, and that's probably easily could have been 35-10, maybe 42-10. But hey, you know what? We got to win. We got to win against a scrappy opponent who this is not the Vanderbilt of yesteryear. This isn't your typical 3-9 Vandy team. I mean, they beat Alabama this year. They took Texas all the way down to the wire. I think they would was a 3-point game
3-point
against
game, yeah.
Texas. They took Mizzou into double overtime. So
Should have won that game.
yeah, this isn't your typical scrub
Just
Vanderbilt team.
FYI, though, this is also a Vanderbilt team that lost to Georgia State and struggled with Ball State.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so they're still Vanderbilt. At the end of the day, they are still Vanderbilt, but
They
it's
are.
the same Vanderbilt that we typically would just push around. But you know what? They got some scrappy kids. They showed up
I
ready
think
to
they have
play.
a good coach.
They played their ass off. Yeah, they got a good coach. And man, look, their quarterback runs his mouth way too much, but that's a dude, he's a warrior.
I had a lot
He's
of respect for him until he pulled that Johnny Manziel bullshit in the end zone. Kiss my
yeah,
ass.
I didn't care for that when he rolled the dice type of shit, and I really wanted them to get the ball back just so we could pop him a couple more times. But just like Johnny Manziel, he had the worst game of his career against LSU.
Yeah.
So
Well, we
uh,
don't have that defense, but yeah.
no,
Right.
but
So speaking of defense, both of our man crushes uh, had bad games. Your boy started off the worst possible way.
yeah, yeah, he bit really, really hard on a double move. I saw it real time. I knew it was a touchdown before Pavia even. I don't even know if Pavia saw the receiver as quick as I did. I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then a little later in the game, he had one of the most atrocious efforts I've ever seen on the. I'm not even gonna call it an attempted tackle. I'm not even gonna call it a missed tackle. I don't know what that was. It was pretty bad. He had a rough night and he was in the bottom. Pretty
Yeah,
sure he was in the bottom five in PFF scores this week, and deservedly so. He had a bad game.
yeah, he was bad. My guy, he's just too light, and just he needs 20 pounds, or else, he's probably not going to be starting cornerback next year. That's where our secondary is. And that's kind of what I want to get into tonight before we talk about this upcoming weekend. And that is this roster.
Hmm.
If you follow recruiting at all, if you own a television or a radio, you have heard about what happened to LSU in recruiting this week. We have had the number one player in the country committed since January 6th. And here in the 11th hour, exactly, in fact, it was exactly 2 weeks from National Early Signing Day, we lost him. And we lost him. Here's the reason. And this is just obscene. It's vulgar. It's disgusting, in my opinion. I know Nooch loves it. Not. But Dave Portnoy, who is Dave Portnoy?
I have no clue.
Barstool
I
Sports.
honestly never heard his name before today.
He's rich. He's rich. And in Oracle guy, Larry Ellison. He's
Larry
very,
Ellis.
very rich. He's one of the top 5 richest guys in the country.
According to Forbes, he's number 2 in the world right now. Not country, world.
behind Elon.
behind Elon Musk.
Okay.
He's worth an estimated 235 billion.
Well, he didn't spend quite that much, but yeah, those two got together. And Dave Portnoy, the thing that makes it really vulgar is he has nothing to do with Michigan other than he married somebody that went to Michigan. And Michigan called
You
her up and said, "We need some help getting this player. Will you talk Dave into giving us some money?"
want to know what's worse than that?
What's that?
Larry Ellison's not even married to the Michigan alum. Ellison has no ties to Michigan except his old lady, who he's not even married to at the moment.
So that, I didn't know that. Just makes it even more vulgar and disgusting.
Yeah.
But so here we are, it's 2024, and that's how you recruit now. You get some rich guy that doesn't even have any. Well, hell, LSU ought to call Elon Musk. He's right up the road from me. I should just go visit him. Actually, he's probably in DC now. But whatever.
Actually, you know what I recently found out?
What's that?
Uh, a town that you like to bring up, uh, No Trees, Texas,
Hmm.
literally right down the road from me.
Yeah.
You know who owns 95% of the land in No Trees, Texas?
Elon?
Elon Musk. Elon Musk.
Wow. I didn't know that. But
That is a site for possibly future SpaceX type stuff.
yeah, I imagine so. He's amazing. Anyway, we're living in a time where that's like that's like Albert Einstein. Yes, this guy,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we're
yeah.
alive for it.
So if I ever find out he's in No Trees, I'm gonna take that quick little drive and bring him some LSU gear and say, "Hey, partner, look,
Hook up Bayou traditions. But
you need
anyway,
you need a
that's how
favorite football
recruiting
team."
is done in 2024. And this kid, Bryce Underwood, we can mention his name. Brian Kelly can't, but we can. Bryce Underwood, number one quarterback, number one player in the country, got paid $3 million a year for up to 4 years for Michigan. So up to 12 million. And he's not going to stay 4 years. And if he does, it means he wasn't as good as they thought he was. And they
Right.
wasted money. They wasted money anyway, in my opinion. The only good
Agree.
news out of it to me is once I found out how much LSU, what their offer was, because their offer was exactly half of that, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous to pay a high school quarterback $1.5 million, hadn't even taken a snap in
I,
college.
I
And,
I
you
agree. I
know,
think all this is a joke.
it is all ridiculous. But especially that I'm glad that he went to Michigan. All these LSU fans are freaking out there. We need to fire Kelly. He's losing the team. We lost 3 games in a row. Now he can't keep this awesome classy. Screw that class. Name me the high school quarterback, the big 5-star high school recruit that's leading the college team right now in the top 10.
I don't follow recruiting, so even if I
There
have
is
no,
none. There is none.
okay,
I
I
know
wouldn't know
this.
that if there
I
was.
know that at least as of last week, 7 of the top 10 teams were led by transfer quarterbacks.
Yeah,
7 of the top 10 were led by transfer quarterbacks.
that's where we're at in college football right now. Sucks, but
Okay, so what do you do? I mean, it's where we're at, and you got to do something smart about it. And to me, something smart isn't dropping $6 million or $12 million on some high school kid
no,
when you can
no,
look around and say, hey, there's a log jam over here because schools go on this tear where they get two or three. Hell, Alabama did it with Jalen Hurts and then
Tua, and then
Tua,
Bryce Young.
yeah, and then yeah, so three in a row. Those guys were back to back to back. And the way the portal is now, look what Walker Howard did after Jaden Daniels came back. Walker
Yeah,
Howard gone.
yeah. I
Now,
wonder how he
I'm not
feels being
saying
third. I wonder
I'm
how he
not
feels
saying
being
he's
third
that
string.
dude. Say again.
I wonder how he feels being third string on a team that went all in on NIL and
Yeah.
just with three
Yeah, I'm not
losses.
saying he's that dude for sure, but there's that dude somewhere. We already found him twice. We already found
Yeah, I mean, look,
Joe Burrow, and then we found Jaden Daniels
we got a pair of Heisman trophies in that ops building right now that came from transfers.
and a natty.
So, yeah, and a natty out of it. I
So,
mean,
so give me a break. LSU fans that are
yeah,
upset about losing Bryce Underwood. I'm not. I'm literally happy that we didn't get him because you know what we need, Newt?
Trenches.
DBs. We
Hmm.
need
Well,
trenches.
definitely DBs, but we definitely need help in the trenches, big time. Yeah, we need safety help. We don't have anybody worth a damn at safety.
No, we have no safeties
I
worth.
mean, and so let's go out and find us a Greg Brooks type. He was a transfer. Go get him.
Yep.
Bring him in.
Go
There's
get that
what
guy.
we need to do is we need to hit like the 22 season where that basically that entire secondary was DB was all transfers. Almost
Transfers.
the entire secondary was transfers, and
Yeah.
every one of them produced. So
Yeah.
you got to not just go get them, but you got to get the right guys.
Makai Garner,
Yeah,
Rick Brooks.
bring in all of those guys.
Yeah.
Trying to remember who else we had that year, but it was pretty much the entire secondary starting that year were all
I
transfers.
didn't like it then. I mean, I liked the fact that they were good, but I didn't like the fact that we had to do that. But we had to do that because Brian Kelly inherited 39 scholarship players, and then a few of them he had to let them walk.
Yeah.
And so he had to do that, and that is what it is. But then last year he didn't do it enough, and I learned something about that this week. Um, we didn't do shit in the portal. I mean, we
Hmm.
we literally got a punter out of the portal, and he sucks. So with that said, why? Why didn't we? Well, because Ole Miss went all in, and LSU had Mason Smith, and they had Makai Wingo. That's your two DTs right there, right? That's your two
Yeah.
DTs. We had Braden Swenson, we had Savion Jones. They were coming back, so we were good on the DL with those four, right? Plus whatever we brought in through recruiting or maybe pick somebody up some depth off of transfer portal. But and of course, people look back and they say, well, Fish, they were going pro. Mm, they did go pro, but they weren't necessarily going pro because I know for a fact that LSU made both of them the same offer, and it was a lot less than Bryce Underwood, but it was what Will Campbell made this year, which is
Yeah.
not chump change. It's a $500,000. Will Campbell's the number one paid player on LSU's team. That's just disgusting to even say. But anyway, the number one paid player on my college football. Give me a break. But that's where we are. Those guys got that same offer.
Yeah.
And LSU and Brian
I would,
Kelly
I
felt
would
like,
pitch in to have a Makai Wingo on this team.
yeah, damn right. I'll give to the collective. But anyway, Brian Kelly thought they were coming back. We were talking about getting Bo Davis, come from Texas to be the DL coach. He said, well, Fish, we did get Bo Davis. Yes, but what you don't remember is there for a while, he said, I'm going to stay at Texas. And the
Yep.
second he tweeted that out, they threw their name in the draft. They hired agents and they were gone. And then we wound up freaking getting Bo Davis, but he didn't
Yeah.
have anybody to coach. He didn't have his big guys anyway.
Yeah.
He had Braden
And
Swenson, and he had Savion Jones, but
y- eventually I'm sure eventually I'll come around because I'm a college football diehard, and that's my thing. I can't stand the direction that the sport is
this
going.
ain't college football, dude.
I don't like any of it.
Professional football.
I don't like the 12 team playoff. I don't like the NIL. I don't like the portal. I don't like any of it. This isn't the sport I fell in love with,
Nope.
but this is what it is.
Still better
And
than the NFL.
oh, absolutely, it's still better, but this is what it is. And as much as I hate it, it's the game we have to play now.
Yeah.
So, and I know you'd mentioned it to me before about Brian Kelly using the term the cap. And it
So
sucks you have to use a term called the cap in college
in college
football,
football, and that's where I
but
was going with that because we didn't have to spend that $1 million last year, that 500 and 500 that we were going to give to Smith and Wingo because they went pro. And by that time, it was too late to spend that 500 grand because, quite frankly, Ole Miss had already gotten everybody that was worth a damn on the
yeah,
DL.
and then even still, they ended up with 3 losses this year, so fuck them.
Yeah, agree. But the bottom line is they got the best players out of the portal, and then what is that? We are Ole Miss moment. They always find a way to Ole Miss it up. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, it's
but they had the players, and we didn't, and so we got what we got. Our secondary, awful, just awful secondary. And so now here we are. we just saved, just for this year, we saved $1.5 million that we don't have to give to Plus.
Yeah.
With the new collective coming through TAF, and we're not even going to get into the revenue sharing that's to come, but we'll get into that off season. But with the TAF organizing everything and Austin Thomas being back from Ole Miss, he's the one that orchestrated their class that they got out of the portal. He's with us now, back with us. And we have this money to spend. And Brian Kelly has come out this week and flat out said, you're talking about the cap. He said, that's how I learned this. I listened to him. He's talking about, yeah, we stayed under the cap last year. Well, now we're not. We're going to spend money, and we got to do it because Brian Kelly's got to win because that's what he gets paid $10 million a year. He's got to
Yeah.
win.
He also brought up it's going to be a big portal class. He point blank said that.
Yeah, we have
It's a big
16
class.
guys early enrollees, and I would not anticipate us signing anybody out of high school after these 16 guys sign.
Which I'm
In
fine
the
with.
late class in February, we're not signing anybody.
You know what? I really and truly hate that this is what college football has become. But damn it, man, if you can fill half your class with guys who are experienced at the college level, guys who have already received college coaching, guys who have already stepped foot on a field in front of 100,000 people, I just absolutely is no brainer. Go get those guys.
Especially
Go
if
get them.
you can get a guy that will give you multiple years.
It's it's and I know when Kelly came here and what he's been doing, he's trying to build a program. He's not trying to build a team of mercenaries like Ole Miss attempted to do this
Or
year and
Florida
felt last
State.
year.
Look at Florida State. They're the
Yeah,
prime
or
example.
yeah, Florida State or a lot of these teams or A&M a couple years ago did it.
Hmm?
Know, Kelly's trying to build a program that can sustain itself. And maybe that concept might be dead now. I don't know. That concept may no longer be and screw it. Let's go get these guys. It is what it is.
I
Let's go
think
out
there's somewhere
there.
in the
Let's go
middle
win.
that you have to look at. There's somewhere in the middle. What Ole Miss did, what Florida State did, what Ole Miss did this year is they went all in on
Right.
portal. Specifically, we have to win this season, and none of them did it. None of them did it.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, especially, you go back and look at that, created a toxic culture and got their coach fired, is what
Yeah.
happened there. And that's what
Yeah.
happened. That's another reason I'm glad Bryce Underwood's not an LSU Tiger and not going to be because you introduce a guy, you got Will Campbell, who is a 3-year starter, All-American guy. He's the best player on your team, and
Yeah.
he's getting $500,000. And you bring in some punk out of high school and give him 3 times that much,
Yeah. That doesn't sit well.
it doesn't
Which
sit well.
look, and Hannah Griff mentioned it on the postgame show on my way home. And I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm not really sure the way this is going to play out. I'm sure it'll be legals and lawsuits and Congress, unfortunately, is going to get involved.
Yep.
But he compared it to back in the day, and if you remember, because LSU seems to be at the forefront of all of these things, the NFL instituted a rookie salary cap basically because of a Jamarcus Russell type. And it took them a while to get to it, but yeah, you had these guys coming in with $60 million guaranteed, and you got these rugged vets who've been through the ringer, who've got rings, who've done it all, and they're not getting anywhere near that. And here comes this hot shot walking in with the fancy jewelry and the bling bling and making 4 times what he's making, and it created problems. So the
Yeah.
NFL had to actually make a rule to say, okay, look, for the betterment of our sport, this is the new rule. And eventually college football is going to have to go that route as well. They're going to have to figure out a way to do it legally because technically NIL comes from third party endorsements. So you got to find a way to word it properly so it'll pass the legal muster. But something's going to have to happen where this gets reined in, and you can't just go out and get the second richest human on the planet to throw a fat check at a kid to show up on your campus.
Yeah, I
That's
tell you
not,
one
it's
thing,
not
one good thing
sustainable.
that's going to come out of that is that drew eyes from people that don't even follow college football. And it's
Yeah,
going to
because
shine a light on it and say something's wrong. Something's wrong when you can call. Elon Musk or Larry Ellison or Dave Portnoy or whoever Warren Buffett, whoever, and say, hey
Yeah,
man, loan us or give us some
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Give
Because this
us some
ends
money
up
so that we
being
can buy this freaking high schooler to come play
yeah,
quarterback
because
for us.
they
Something's
write it
wrong.
off. They write it off as a donation, so they get tax breaks for it and cuts and all of this shit. And they're going to give that money to somebody. So hey, why not give it to us? And we're going to give it to this 17-year-old kid.
Yeah,
And that's
something's
just
wrong there.
that's not sustainable long term. This will not. It can't survive like this. So you got to find a way to cap it. You got to find a way to figure out to restrict it, to do something. I would be a fan of having like a committee or somebody, even I hate committees, but somebody to review these NIL deals and man, show me this is legit. When Bryce Young was at Alabama, Bryce Young was in the Nissan Heisman House commercials. He's in the Dr. Pepper commercial. Okay. You're worth quite a few $1 million because your face is recognizable. Everybody knows who you are. You're in these commercials. You can make this money.
But let me ask you this. Working the drive-through at Cane's for an hour on a bye week, is that worth $1 million?
No,
Hell no.
no, that's what I'm saying. You got to show me that this guy is actually doing something, that there's a return on the investment, that you're not just donating this guy millions of dollars. That, show me something.
Right.
If you're making a commercial for Billy Bob's Muffler and Bait Shop, nah, nah, dude, you're worth a few thousand. But
I
that's
would
not,
buy bait from that guy.
I would too, but
Billy Bob's Bait Shop. I love it.
show me something. Show me some sort of,
See if Billy
because if
Bob's will
not,
carry some lanyard lures. What do you think?
if not, call it what it is. It's pay for play. Make it come direct
That's
from
what it
these,
is.
make
Yep.
it come from these schools, and make these schools have to start cutting all of those nonprofit, the non-revenue generating sports where all of a sudden nobody's getting scholarships anymore. And watch how quick this shit stops.
Yep.
Watch how fast when all of a sudden these swimming and diving teams can no longer get their scholarships and those people can no longer go, get their education while they're participating in sports. Watch how fast all of this shit comes to a screeching halt.
So checking something out on one of the recruits. All right. So talking about NFL, same thing. NIL, same
Yeah.
thing. Pay for
Yeah.
play, right? Freudian slip. Talking about NIL and the transfer portal. That's one thing we need to watch going forward here because I think it's going to be pretty, um, what's the word? Volatile. It's gonna
Ah,
be pretty volatile. Things are going to change on a dime. Brian Kelly has talked about the 16 recruits that we're going to bring in early enrollees. Hopefully, we get them all. One of the things that was distracting me just now was another podcast guy talking about one of them, and he's the number one cornerback in the country. Committed to LSU.
need it.
USC's looking at him. Of course, Michigan's looking at him. They think they can just flip anybody now.
Well, I
Um,
mean, if you got Larry Ellison in your back pocket, you can.
yeah, I think it's going to wind up between LSU and Miami. I think Miami's the actual real threat, but it's a lot of money in LA. You know
A
where the
lot of
kid's
money in
from?
Miami
You know where the
too.
kid's from, Nooch?
No clue. I don't follow
Carr.
recruiting. I don't even know his
Carr.
name.
Edna Carr. New Orleans.
Ooh,
We have Frank freaking Wilson.
yeah, I was about to say.
We don't
Send
lose
Frank,
kids, but you
send
start throwing $1 million at them.
Yeah, but send Frank to that kid's grandma's house. He's coming.
I hope so. I hope you're right because that's the number one cornerback in the country.
I mean, it's freaking Ed
Um,
Decor. What are you 47 minutes from campus there?
yeah. And then Texas tried to get in the game. Everybody tried to poach LSU's class after Michigan pulled that stunt and got away. But they pulled it off. Good for them. Congrats on your $12 million high school quarterback. Good luck.
Yeah.
Um, but Texas tried to get into the game with LSU's another cornerback, the number two cornerback in the country, and he's about that close on three. I mentioned this in the podcast last week, which you probably didn't even bother listening to. But anyway, I mentioned I like how On Three does theirs because they do it. They have 32 5 stars, and the way they look at it is the stars is always based on potential. It's always
Right.
based on potential. And so they look at it like, well, there's 32 first round picks. These are our 32 five stars for this year. They project these are the most likely guys to be picked in the first round of the draft 4 years, 3 years, whatever later.
Makes
Um,
sense.
so the second cornerback that we have committed that Texas tried to steal, and he flat out came out and said, I'm locked in with LSU.
So did
Um,
Bryce Underwood.
what's that?
So did Bryce Underwood a week ago.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But anyway, he's ranked number 34 in the country, so he's that close to a five star. Doesn't matter at that point to me. But anyway, we've got guys committed. Hopefully, we can land those 16. And then, like you mentioned, Brian Kelly even said he's looking at the best and the biggest portal class in history. Um,
Get it?
you could see us getting 14 guys or so through the portal. Which
Right.
that goes. Now we got to talk about another cog in the wheel here, and we got a few minutes left here. So we got player retention. I'm not going to get into specifics because I told Nooch we started to, and I was like, man, I don't want to jinx it. I do
Yeah.
have a real wooden desk right here, but I don't want to jinx it. But there's some big guys that I think we'll talk about after National Signing Day, we'll do a podcast, or maybe if you don't want to get involved in the recruiting end of it, I'll do it. I don't care.
Oh, man, I'll help keep you afloat because I know you don't like flying
I don't
solo.
like doing it. Yeah, I don't like it.
Need I
Um,
mean I know you're an Air Force guy. Does Air Force call a guy in the back the Rio as well? I mean I don't know. I know
dude,
that's a
I
Navy.
climb towers and I install antennas,
Oh,
and
you changed light bulbs. My bad.
no, I installed antennas on 600-foot towers.
Okay.
I did change the light bulbs on them too. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, that was my Air Force time, and I was assigned to customs for a while. So
Okay. I just not
what?
knock.
So what? I know
Thank you for
people.
your service.
Thank you. I know people though. But anyway, what was I saying, you jacket? Oh, player retention. There's some guys that I think will surprise some of us. I was surprised to hear even mentioned as possibly coming back, and it's almost like the way I'm hearing it's almost likely. Knock on wood. Um, but then you run into one other thing with retention, or in this case, non-retention. There's guys on the team right now that are not going to be on the team next year, and it's not because they went to the draft or graduated. This is the way it is.
Yeah.
The
Period.
roster is deficient. Your
Yeah.
boy, Big T, I told him that the other day. This roster is deficient. There's coaching issues, but the roster is deficient too. And I think he actually agreed with me.
I'm
But
I'm I'm waiting for him to reply to my post last night, but he hasn't yet.
y'all get going too much. But anyway, the roster is deficient, talent deficient. You look at
It
our secondary, we do not have, we have, and I refer to it, and I hate to bash LSU players, but the bottom line is we sit here and spent 20 minutes of this podcast talking about how players getting paid. Oh, well, you're open to scrutiny. Our
yeah,
secondary
once
is,
that happens, if you're fair
you
game.
know,
Once you take a check, you're fair game.
our secondary is honestly, is G5 even a thing anymore? Group of five, or is it group
Yeah,
of,
it still is.
is it group of five?
I
Because
think
I
I
know it's,
think it,
it's
it
power
probably
four.
it's yeah, so it's probably I guess group of six, and then you
I don't know.
count I don't know. Does
We don't
Washington?
have a power four. We don't have a power four secondary. Let's go there. How about that?
Oh,
We don't have a
okay.
power four secondary. We have a low budget and low rent secondary. It's the way it is. Our safeties are awful.
Yeah,
And
we are so far removed from DBU that term needs to be removed from our vernacular until further
yeah,
notice.
for right now, for sure. Um, and both of us sitting here with, and it's because of hope. We have hope that a Zy Alexander or me with an Ashton. I picked Ashton Stamps because he was into music and I'm a bass player. I'm like, let's jam. I'd love to play some jazz with this dude. He plays piano. I would love to talk music with him, but
And
he's
you know
not
what?
DBU.
I'm gonna have a DB as my man crush again next year.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying
Spoiler alert, I will have a DB as my man crush next
we
year.
picked it on hope, and I've tried to go the offensive route, and that turned into uh, Trey, what's his name, that plays for TCU now.
That was Jack Besh.
That guy. Jack Beck. Yeah, see, that's how that worked out. He was letting punts bounce off his face mask, even kickoffs. That was my man crush, and I was like, that's it, back to DBs. So here we are with some pretty bad cornerbacks as our man crushes.
Hey, you know what? As much as I hate the transfer portal, I might take an upperclassman transfer if we get the right one because
Heck
I
yeah,
mean, I had a guy who finished his career somewhere else.
yeah, it happens. But yeah. So anyway, I guess I did too because I had Jack Bash. So there's guys. I can tell you, offensive line, defensive, specifically tackle. But really, honestly, we're losing. We're probably going to lose Braden Swenson for sure. Savion Jones.
Yeah.
Uh, those are our best defensive linemen, and they're both defensive ends. Um, yeah, we got to do something in the trenches, and then we got to address secondary, and that's where I see the portal taking us. I've seen a lot of people saying, and even Brian Kelly talking about, taking a quarterback. Eh,
The
maybe.
depth, I could see getting one. You're not going to
You
go
got
out and get
AJ
the
Swan right now, but you got to figure with AJ Swan, Colin Hurley, and Ricky Collins, one of those
yeah,
is gone. One of them's gone.
yeah. One of them's going to transfer out. So you're going to take a guy who wants to come in and he knows he's not going to be the starter, but he's good enough to fill in for you if you need him to. That's the type of body you going out and get. That guy.
3 minutes. We got 3 minutes. So those are the things that I'm looking forward to once we get past the thing I'm most looking forward to is you mentioned it. We got a true blue blood coming into
Yeah,
Tiger Stadium Saturday
absolutely.
night. And this guy over here, he's counting one, two, three, four first half touchdowns against this blue blood, but it wasn't in Tiger Stadium. And we don't have that guy and we don't have Joe Burrow.
Right.
But Oklahoma kicked the dog shit out of Alabama this past weekend, dude.
They
24 to
did.
3. When was the
I
last
saw
time
the
you seen
score.
Alabama held to 3?
You want me to tell you the last time Alabama did not score a touchdown in a football game?
Is it against us?
It was against us,
Yeah.
2011.
Oh, God,
The
how can I
nine,
forget? I was at the damn game.
the 9-6 game of the century.
I was
So,
at the damn
uh,
game.
but mentioning that blue blood, I'm reading a lot online, and man, I don't understand our fan base. People are bitching that the SEC is forcing a rivalry. Look, I haven't seen anything that's promoting this game as a rivalry or
I haven't
anything of
either.
the sort. The only thing this is we were the last two teams in the SEC that don't have a rivalry week game. We don't. So, man, quit bitching because this is a blue blood. Yeah, they're
The
down
blue
this.
blood, yeah.
They're
It's a
down
true
this
blue
year,
blood.
but typically we're talking about the week of Thanksgiving. More years than not, this game will have heavy playoff implications.
Well, and we're
This
coming off of our normal Thanksgiving weekend is Arkansas
or A and
or
M. Jesus
A&M.
Christ! Now
This
we
is
get
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, dude. If we can get if to pencil me in right now, sign me up. If this is a permanent option, us in Oklahoma rivalry week, absolutely. Because man, this is your last chance to impress the committee if you're not in the conference championship game. You want to play a big name marquee matchup. This is a big game marquee matchup. Sign
Yeah.
me up.
It's a big name this year, not necessarily a marquee matchup because both of us kind of underperformed, but nonetheless, LSU is hosting Blue Blood, Oklahoma Sooners, Saturday night
Yeah.
in Death Valley. Let's get it on.
Yep.
Let's
Go
beat
Tigers.
Oklahoma, and then we turn the page, and then it gets real fun with recruiting and portal and all that nonsense, and we'll get into that down the road. Y'all come join us at GameDayTigers.com. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.